What is up, you guys? Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a drawing tutorial. What we need for this video are 2 pencils and a sharpener, or you could just use 1 pencil. I'm being fancy with my mechanical today, using that one for finer details. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm a huge WWE fan, and Kane is like one of my favorite wrestlers. I like a lot of bald-headed wrestlers, which probably explains why I'm bald-headed now. But to start this video, we're going to start with the head. Now, I found a reference that I actually like. We can go ahead and get started here. I always like to start with the head. I think it's much better to make the body match the head than rather to start the body and then have a weird looking head. So the pose that we're using, he is kind of positioned upwards. So we're just going to go ahead and rough in that head there, or at least the head shape. And then we'll work on the face later. Now we're going to stop right here. I'm going to go ahead and off the back of that head, we're going to go ahead and make the neck, and I'm going to put a circle here. This is going to be his shoulder, and then we're going to draw a line to his other shoulder there. Sorry about that. Right now, I'm just putting in some basic neck lines as well as the trap lines. So you can see right here, I'm repositioning the shoulder there, and then right here is going to be the top of the pectoral as well as the bottom of the pectoral here. I am going to go ahead and draw a center line. That's the position that his torso is facing. And then right here is going to be his actual pectorals. Now here we can go ahead and draw a circle. That's going to be his abdominal muscles. If we go from the center line to the shoulder here, we're just going to go ahead and curve it and connect it like so. And that's going to give us a rib cage. I do this for all of my drawings. And for anyone who might not know, I got this technique from toys, actually. Alright, so you can see here I have a Kane toy. This is one of the old school ones. But we're just going to take this belt off here. And if I go ahead and open up his arms here, you can see that he has, obviously, a movable head. He has his shoulders here. You can see how, if I wanted to, he has a center line. And if I open up that hands, that rib cage is going to connect to the center line. And this is what I'm trying to do with my artwork here. You can see it goes the same way on the other side, as well as his ball joint shoulders here, which is why I draw the circles for the shoulders on the drawing as well. You can see he has a movable pelvis, and then of course he has the thighs and everything right here where his legs go. And then this is how I'm graphing everything out in my mind. If you're able to, I would definitely recommend to get some sort of toy. I like using wrestlers, especially the elite figures. So you can see here I do have the elite version of the Big E, and that just means he's more movable, more advanced. But you can see the main difference here is his arms got a little more movability. You can see he can actually move that bicep on the shoulder, but you can see right here that his torso also moves back and forth, as well as his pelvis moving side to side just like the other one. But the thighs also are a lot more movable here as well, and I find that these figurines are really helpful. So I'm gonna go ahead, reposition that shoulder just a little bit more. We're gonna go ahead and start roughing in a shoulder shape here. So as you can see, I kind of got like a triangle shape, and right here you want that trap to kind of turn into an arrow. So one line is going to be connected to the top of the pec, and the other line is going to be connected to the shoulder. Now we can start right here, and this is normally where your collarbones would be, is where the top of your pec lines are. And so you can see here I am just kind of roughing in some more of that neck there, trying to put a V shape in there. And then turning the paper is always really helpful. Don't think that because you're drawing you can't move your page. It's always more helpful to move the paper than for you to not actually be able to draw in the angle you need to draw in. Now you can see right here, I moved that paper so that I can rough in the bottom part of his pectorals. Now Kane actually has a very broad and wide pec base, so that's why it's going to be so big like that. I'm gonna go ahead and put in the shoulders as well as the other pec on this side. And that hand and that arm in general, you're not really gonna see much of it. So coming over here, we can go ahead and start making a pelvis line here, so that way we can see where his pelvis is going to be at. As I said, we have that ball joint there for the torso, and then we have the bottom of the rib cage. Now with that shoulder, we are going to kind of make like a triangle shape almost, and I'm just roughing in some more of that head there. You can see I put in the ear, and when I put the ear, I usually put 2 lines on the top and on the bottom of the ear, and those are usually the nose line and the eyebrow lines. I'm putting that center line there, but sometimes I do move the center line And that center line in between the top and bottom are where the eyes usually connect, but I do often go a little bit higher, and I think in this case I did actually go a little higher once we got back to it later on. But right now we're going to focus on the arms, and so I've found that drawing an elbow near that rib cage, or at least the bottom of the rib cage, is really helpful, and then drawing the hand right below the pelvis, kind of by the butt, is usually where I like to line up my anatomy at. So right here, we're just going to use a square, and we get a signal that there is going to be a hand there. Now, for the arms, you have a tricep right here, as well as your bicep right here. So we're going to draw a circle for the bicep. You go ahead and use a triangle for the tricep there. We will put another triangle right here for the elbow, so you can get an idea of where that's going to be. And then of course there's going to be another circle here for the forearm. Now with that being said, we can go ahead and start focusing just a little bit. Let me zoom in here on the arm. You can see where we have all of our shapes and how they connect. So I know that his shoulder isn't really going to be right there. We're going to pick up where the bicep is, and we're just going to slightly curve it in, just like that, right in front of the ball, not on the ball or to the ball, but right in front of it. Now, everyone's arms are a little bit different. You could go different ways with it, but I'm gonna show you right here that under that shoulder is usually where I like to draw my line for the elbow to connect to. And then in this case, we are gonna go ahead and cut it off with the forearm right there. And that tricep's gonna move a little later, and it's gonna cover that line where the elbow is. But right now we're going to get the forearm ready, so we're just going to curve it along that line. We're going to bring it down to the hand. I know I don't have it in the best position, but I am going to reposition it here in a minute. But you can see here I am just slightly adding a little definition to that shoulder, as well as repositioning the crevice where the shoulder and the pectoral, where the bicep and the pectoral meet. And I do this with all my drawings. If you pick your arm up right now, you can see that your pectorals go into your armpit, and your armpit goes to your biceps. So here I'm just putting in a basic shape for the chest. And if it was a Superman or something like that, you would taper it in a lot more. But Kane's a lot more of a heavy set character. So you can see he has a broader and a bit of a wider stomach area there. Now we are going to go ahead and start handling this arm here. So right here at the bottom of the rib cage, we are going to go ahead and make that elbow. And we're going to do an open hand here. Kane's known for doing some incredible choke slams. So I think I'm going to have his hand open like he's staring at you like, boy, I oughta, you know. But this forearm is a lot differently here. So we will draw circles. So you can see I did put 2 circles there on that forearm. And that's because usually when you move your arm into a different position, you know your arm muscles actually move with it. So you can see here it does widen out quite a bit, and we have a side profile on that other forearm. That's why we only have 1 circle here. Now moving the paper, finally we are going to go ahead and start adjusting and adding onto our Kane figure. Starting with the thighs. Now, I personally like drawing thighs. I don't know why. There's just something real satisfying about it. But we are going to go ahead and make our joints there. And we are just going to drop it in just like that for the outer thigh. And I will show you right here on this thigh that's sticking out more towards us. So I like to put triangles for the kneecaps, right? You can use a diamond or you can use a circle. Personally, I like triangles. And we're gonna have 2 circles, one here as well as one here. Now you do have 3 actual muscles on the thigh. So if we go ahead and trace this out, we have the butt right here, right? You gotta be mindful of that stuff. And then you can see the thigh connects to the butt. I have that pelvis there because just like the toys, that is where the legs would connect. And so we'll do a crotch line right here, as well as putting in some wrinkles because these wrestling pants are very tight. Now you can see right here, we can go ahead and put a little bit of definition right there if we wanted to. And then you could do another one here, because there are 3 heads, I believe, that are on the thigh, as well as the third thigh muscle right there. But we're not going to do all that because, again, Kane is a heavier set character, so we'll probably just do 1 or 2 lines and leave it at that, or show nothing at all. So for the calf muscle, again, it's a lot more like the forearm, and we're doing a side profile here. I'm sorry if I just go ahead and do it. There are the circles, you can do the circle method there, but I'm just so used to it sometimes that I don't think about it. But because this is a side profile, you want a way smaller circle on that outside, and then on the inside, of course, you have the bigger circle because that's what you're seeing. And that is the leg that is hidden behind the other leg. Now over here, we're gonna go ahead and draw 2 ovals just like that forearm, because if you notice in the back of the calf, you do have a W. If you flex it and you have the muscle there, and you can see it. So those circles are the calf muscles, kind of like a drumstick, like a chicken leg. You want to think about the meat on the bone. And we're just going to draw a line here. It's going to be a boot line, as well as over here. And you can do this with any character as well. You can do this with Superman. You can do this with Batman. It doesn't matter. I chose to do Kane. Hopefully you like it. But we're going to go ahead and start messing with this fist here. So I want that fist to look almost like a pentagon, and I'll show you, or a hexagon, I'm sorry. And I'll show you right here in a minute. So I do have a square, putting in indents for a thumb and the fingers. Again, I apologize because I know where this stuff is in my mind. And so I am going to show here that there is that hexagon shape just like that. And so that thumb is going to be carried along the outside. And then we're going to have the finger. And you can just show one finger and then identify the knuckles behind it. And there you go. You have an easy superhero fist or a wrestler fist. Go ahead and draw some characteristics for the glove there. A little bit of detail. Now, the other hand is a little bit easy as well. You're going to draw a basic thumb shape. Doesn't have to look perfect. Again, this one's a little bit easier, but I don't really have a good way to explain it. I just see it all in my head. Sometimes I don't really rough everything out. I can just draw it. But for you guys, I'm trying to make an exception. Trying to make sure that you guys understand what it is we're doing. So I drew the rest of the hand in there because you can kind of see the hand. If you look at your own hand in an angle, you know that you're going to see a little bit of it. And I'm going to draw some fingers in there, and I'm going to make this index finger a little bit longer, as well as putting in that pinky there. Now here he does have on a gauntlet, so we are going to go ahead and put some circles there for the studs that he does have there. All right, I'm going to do my best here, but I'm going to start just a little bit on this face, putting in a circle there for the chin, as well as trying to signify where his cheekbones and stuff are going to be at. Trying to make a basic shape for his head. Then we're going to do a double chin there. We're also going to make sure that we connect it to the lines that are in the center of his chin as well. We're going to go ahead and make that jawbone or the jawline. And we're just going to connect it just like that. Now we can go ahead and do a eyebrow line right there where that line is, where we put that guideline where the ear's at. We're just gonna make a head shape here. He does have a bald head, so kind of give him a nice bald head. You know, you don't want it to be too abstract. Although it wouldn't be a bad thing because, you know, human beings, we all have different shaped heads. Now I am gonna go ahead and start roughing in the eyebrows. I kind of do it like a emoji almost. Like I start with the eyebrows. The eyebrows show the character more than the actual face does, I believe. So we're just putting some wrinkle lines here. Now, zooming in, we can go ahead and start working on that nose there. After I put the circle for the tip of the nose, I like to work from the outward angles in. So you can see I did start with the nostril, and then I am doing the lines of which the nostrils carry on to the other side of the nose. And then I kind of just build the nose after that. Now, if you need to pause it, feel free to. I am left-handed, so I do know that it's a little bit harder for you guys to see, but I'm just switching to my mechanical pencil here, so that way I can more greatly define that nose there, for me to see it better, but also for you guys to see it better as well. Now, I am going to go ahead and put in a mouth shape here. I'm not sure what kind of mouth I'm going to give him. I don't know if I'm going to really define his lips like that, but if I was, this is how I would do the center of those lips. But we're going to jump to the eyebrows here. And again, like I said, I do like to do it kind of like an emoji, starting with those eyebrows first, giving away all the characteristics of Kane. Now, as I stated earlier, sometimes I do use that center line there for the eyes, but I am actually going to move the center line a little bit higher, and I'm putting another line there so that way I can go ahead and make sure these eyes are even and together. But first, I am going to add a little more definition to that face there. As you can see right here where that circle is, I am going to go ahead and add a cheekbone as well as a line defining it over there as well. Now here I am starting to get ready to put in those eyes. I'm just putting some wrinkles for the eyes, and as I said, you can see right here from the bottom of the eyebrow in between that center line that we put, that is going to be my eye line here. And eyes are a tricky one, so you can do it all types of ways. You can do ovals, you can do triangles, you can do regular circles depending on your style of drawing. But I kind of just adapted my own way of drawing eyeballs. If you want an in-depth eye tutorial, I can give you one to the best of my abilities. But we're just going to show that he's kind of just staring at us, like he's looking at the artist. Now, Kane does have one eye, or at least he wears like a white contact on that right eye. So one of them is going to be remaining white as the other one is going to get colored. And working on that mouth there, I do like to put the J. Even if I don't draw lips, I like to signify that there's that little dip under the nose there. And the mouth, I am just kind of going to rough in here, as well as identifying his chin. He does have like a circle chin. So I'm going to signify that, as well as putting in a little dip right there on the side of the head. So that way you can see, you know, that his head isn't one-dimensional, but it is two-dimensional. Now, shaping in the ear here, you can do it however you want. I'm trying to match Glenn Jacobs' actual ear. That's the character who plays Kane. That's the actor, I should say. He did become a mayor as well, which is kind of interesting to go from the wrestling ring to the political table. But you can see I am carving out a little bit more of his head. Went ahead and added a nipple there, but from the nipple to the bottom of that rib cage, we're going to draw a line, and here we're going to go ahead and put in some obliques. So we got one, and then the second one's going to overlap it, and then we will put in one more as well. First, I'm going to go ahead and go based off this center line, and where this circle is, we're going to go ahead and curve it and signify the bottom of the actual rib cage. You don't have to do this. Most drawings I won't do stuff like this, but for this one I kind of wanted to, because he's a lot more barrel chested, and that curve is going to go and point towards those rib muscles, and we will put one more right there as well. You can see here I did put the oblique muscles right here. Got the third one there. It all points to where this bottom of the rib cage line is going to be. And then I have the abdominal muscles there as well, which are just some curves going along the guideline. We got the outer curves here to signify that he does have some ab muscle there, but it's not super shredded up because we don't want him to look super lean. Again, he is a bit thicker, or at least on the thicker side. Now I am going to go ahead and start playing around with the pants here, and you can customize them however you want. I'm going to go with the version of him that I like the most, which is a 2004 Kane. So with that being said, I think I'm going to time lapse it here. We're going to cut it. We're going to go ahead and color it. Alright, you guys, this video was a bit of a long one, but I appreciate you watching. There is Kane. Like, comment, subscribe.